What's going on, boyos? My name is Jake, and welcome back to 6-Inch Customs. Today I'm going to go over how to weather your own clone Commando. So let's go over what you need. First things first, we're going to need some satin varnish. I prefer the one from Vallejo. This one's in a rattle can. They also make a version in a little dropper bottle. I've tried about everything on the market, and Vallejo's is the only one I can get to consistently work for me. So that's the one I'm going to recommend for you. Next, we're going to need a wash paint. This one's from AK Interactive, and I'm going to recommend you get an enamel. Most of AK Interactives are enamel over an acrylic wash. And that's because you can partner it with some white spirits to help remove any mistakes you make. And that also is from AK Interactive. And we're going to need a base white and black paint. Same ones we used in our painting tutorial from Vallejo as usual. I'm also going to be using some Tamiya Weathermaster. And the last thing we're going to need is some kind of gloss varnish. There's this one, typical one I use again from Vallejo. I've also used this one from Deco Art, about double the price for like 16 times the amount. And if you're going to use, something like this, typically you just need to mix it with some water, probably a 50-50 mix. And then as far as brushes go, it's going to be the same ones I've recommended in the past. I got this little set from Army Painter. See the name right there on top. How do you even say that? Nulzert's Marvelous Brush Set. It just comes with a dry brush, a base brush, and a detail brush. For our purpose today, we'll just need the dry brush and the base brush. And I'll put the link down in the description. And I almost forgot. We're going to need something to put our white spirits in. I'm using this little measuring cup. Most people just use like an old bottle cap from a water bottle or something. And also almost forgot, gonna want some Q-tips. So the very first thing we're gonna want to do, this guy, is give it a nice coating of our satin varnish, be it whatever method you want, but it's gonna help us with our panel lining step that we're gonna do right now. So what that is, you'll see I've done a little bit on the back side here. But we're just taking our wash with our base brush, and we're just letting it seep into the cracks. This doesn't take really any skill at all, because any overflow, we're going to use our white spirits on a Q-tip to just take it away. And I'll show you the reason we don't use acrylics. My favorite little example here. On the right, you can see I use the enamel, and here I use the acrylic. And the problem with the acrylic is anytime you get any mess ups, it's going to kind of, sit off to the side. You can see it's a lot less clean than it is with the enamel. And you can't really do anything to clean that up except for maybe break out the paint thinner. And so if you did this on, an acrylic wash on top of acrylic paints underneath, then you're going to take the base paint along with it if you try to use paint thinner. With the white spirits don't affect acrylics really at all. And so that's why it's beneficial for us to use an enamel wash. So to start it off, we're just going to give our wash a nice shake. Made it mixed up. I'm just going to use our base brush. Dump it in. And any recessed area on the figure is pretty much where we're going to be putting this in. Oh, by the way, this is a landing gear wash. It's kind of a dark gray black. You can see that's not great at all, but that's okay because we can take it away later. When you put this on, you just want to give it about, maybe 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes max to dry before you start taking away with the white spirits. And you can, you have a couple hours before it really sets in, but if you leave it overnight, it's going to, adhere or fully set to the figure to where you really can't get it off with the white spirits, and you're going to start stripping paint because of how hard you have to push down with your little Q-tip. Alright, I gave that about 15 minutes to dry. We're just going to take our white spirits, already got some poured out right here, just dab our Q-tip in it. Don't want too much on it. And we're just going to graze over the area, just nice and lightly, and take out the majority of everything that isn't just in the crack right there in the armor, the recessed area. And yeah, so the idea for what's called panel lining is you just do that exact same technique over the entirety of the armor. Maybe you go a little less, maybe you go a little more, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do here. And I forgot to mention earlier, the reason we do the satin varnish first is because when we do use the wash, it helps it flow better into the recesses. And so that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, I've finished that up best I can, and that's what we got. So next, we're going to do a little bit of weathering using our basic paints and our dry brush. And then my wet palette, I'm going to start with the white. So for dry brushing, come on, running out of white paint. That'll work. Going to take our dry brush. You don't have to use a dry brush, you can use the base brush too. Dry brush is just easier because it has that the flat end on it. And just dab it in your paint. And I'll put it on a napkin or paper towel. And the idea is to get out as much as possible. Especially with lighter colors like white, they show up pretty easy on the armor. And what we're going to do is any area that isn't white, any raised edges, like say on the shoulder pad right there on top, we're going to drag it across. And you'll see, creates a bit of a smudge mark, like the paint has been chipped off. See, it's a little lighter than I'd like, so I'll put a little more on my brush and just keep doing that. And I'm going to do it sporadically around all the areas on the armor that have the painted colors on it. And I'm going to go back in and do the same thing, but a little less so. A little less frequently with my black gray. So my dumbass just realized I forgot to hit the record button for my last couple of steps. So all I've done is I took my Tamiya Weathermaster Part B. It's a kind of a pastel. All I did was take my little applicator brush with some brown soot, and I rubbed it around the boots, the shin guards, just around the bottom to give them a little bit of a muddy look. And the very last thing was I took some of my gloss varnish, and all I did was put it on my regular base brush. No need to add water or anything. And I just put it on the visor. You can see it reflecting right there. Well, that's the completed product, guys. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.